Welcome to the Ogden Way podcast, a place where we talk about Ogden stories. We talk about Ogden people, the stories around our people that are centered around grit, around innovation, around service, around the heart of who we are as a community, not just as a city. This is the place where we represent everything that we believe, everything that we love about our community. With me today is my wife, Jaynee Nadolski.
Hi.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So what we're going to find in episodes moving forward is that there will be times where I'm interviewing somebody in our community to talk about their story around the Ogden Way. And then there'll be times that you're going to be interviewing me about my experience and the vision that I have for Ogden and why we're doing the things that we are and what priorities we have. And times that you're going to be interviewing people in the community, right?
Yeah.
So thanks for being willing to do that.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. So, but today you're going to be kind of interviewing me and you're going to be talking about what does the Ogden Way mean, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to turn it over to you
Well,
at risk to me looking like a fool. Let's see how it goes.
you asked for it.
Let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, before we get to that, I just want to know, you just finished your first term as mayor.
First year.
Yeah, that's right.
Term.
First year. I apologize. First year as mayor.
Right.
And, I think that people probably want to know. I mean, I know a little bit, probably not everything, but, what's that been like for you?
Well, can I ask what it's been like for you too?
Do you want the answer for that?
Maybe. I mean, we'll cut it out if it's not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you can ask.
Well, I think we can both agree it's the first year has been hard. And it's not just about work, it's about our lives. It has impacted every single element of our lives, all the way to our kids and to our home life, and it's affected everything. And so I'm happy to share the experience in the first year here,
Yeah.
but maybe you can share more
Sure.
about what it's been like on your end. When we took office on the first day, it was a moment of excitement. It was a lot of energy, a lot of nervous energy too, for me and for you in particular. But there was a lot of nervous energy here in the building for the employees and for the community too. Not everybody voted for me, right? But there was just a lot of uncertainty and nervous energy and what is this new experience going to be like? It's a moment of transition and change. And that also creates a moment of opportunity. And so there was a whole mix of feelings for everybody, and I felt all of them when I got here. I also shared all of them because I'm human, not just the mayor. But I definitely felt like I was welcomed and it was warm when I came here by the employees. I had spent a lot of time in our first 100 days getting to know a lot of people here that didn't know me and I didn't know. I also had to figure out how things work here and how things don't work here. That came with some struggles, learning lessons, right? But I would say probably sometime around this, after about the first 100 days, I got a sense for all of the projects that we inherited and all of the unfinished work that we were going to have to wrap our arms around and carry forward. I kind of developed my team, and we hadn't quite become a team yet, but I had identified and hired and assembled my team. And I would say when we got to about 6 months, I felt like I was getting a sense for what was working and what wasn't working. And I felt like that was when I really needed to start wrapping my mind around having more clear vision around what are our priorities, what are the things that we're going to focus on and not focus on. How do we get a lot more strategically aligned as a city internally? How do we bring more order to the chaos that it's felt like in this whole period and era of transition? There was just a lot of things that I felt like we could still tighten up. And so we started a strategic planning process internally. We developed a good framework for how to start thinking about our priorities and what are the values that we're going to be really focusing on and rooted in. What kind of a community do we want to be as a city? And we started to get input from the general planning process and different questionnaires and surveys from the public, combined with all of the input that I got through the campaign and continue to get through meeting with a long list of partners in my first 100 days. So we were just aggregating all of this different information, and we need to bring clarity and strategic alignment. And so that's what sort of led to developing a mission statement for our internal team. But when you develop a mission statement, we have to be thinking about what's the vision for our broader community of 90,000 residents almost that we can deliver for them. So that kind of sets a framework for what our first year was like. It was really heavy and driven by the projects that we inherited and need to finish, and the collaboration internally that it required, and then the collaboration externally to get those projects moving forward. And then for the second 6 months, it was really around strategic alignment, around identifying mission, vision, and priorities. Mm-hmm. So I think that probably kind of sums it up, but there are so many stories in between.
Oh, right.
I mean, countless hours of effort and work and emotion, right? Not to mention the things that happened for us in our personal lives and how we had to adjust.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So how have we adjusted well as a family?
I think so. I think that, I mean, I knew the first year was going to be just a grind. With you doing whatever, I didn't know what you would necessarily be doing, but I knew that as a family, because I knew it was going to require, 90% of your time in some cases, and a lot of travel, right? And I think that's the bigger piece of it. I think that in terms of the family, I think, first of all, our kids are pretty resilient. They have us as parents. They have to be. and I think that one of my favorite things is you get up every day and you are so excited to go to work. Like, you are raring to go. And I think that, for the first 15, 16 years that we were married, you were a hobby jumper, right?
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
You do something for like 3 years and you'd figure all the ins and outs of it, and then you'd move on, right, to another hobby.
I just got bored. I did get bored.
Exactly. You got bored, and you never get bored here. You are just go, go, go. And when you come home at night, whether it's 8 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock at night, whatever it is, the first thing you do is you go sit and get your shoulder massager because your shoulders are so bad. And you just fall asleep because you're just completely you've given everything. And I don't say that in a bad way.
No, but it is true.
You're given a lot. And like I said, the kids and I are resilient, and we knew that this first year would be a grind. There's been, I know one of the hardest things for you probably is missing the kids' sporting events that you've struggled with. And so I try to be both mom and dad for them there.
Well, I think my team's done a good job of protecting them the best we can. And I do miss some of them, but I still have made a lot of them.
Yes, you have.
Thankfully, that's been a priority for sure.
But I know it bothers you if you have to miss it. But
big time.
Yeah, but I don't think that they're upset about it, and I'm not upset about it either. But I know that kind of hurts your heart a little bit if you have to. But at the same time, we also know that you're out there building Ogden not just for 90,000 other people, but for us too, and making it better. And so. Yeah. We understand that. It's been a lot of driving for me, driving them to the different practices and things like that. But I think one of my favorite things about this is just how happy I've seen you be. And that makes me happy. And I think that when we discussed you running for mayor, we kind of said, can we do this? Can we do this? And I'm like, I want you, I will do whatever it takes for you to be happy. And I know this will make, this is like something that you're very passionate about. And so
I guess listeners and viewers might think that this is scripted. It's not at all.
No, he hasn't heard this yet.
Actually, we've talked about how happy the work makes me, but you've never really said it that clearly about how happy you see me when I come home. The kids have told me that. They feel a different energy from me when I get home. And it's not just happy. It's not that I'm here just having fun. I feel really fulfilled here. And it's just, I've always had fulfillment in my work because I had the career of my lifetime beforehand. Now I'm doing this, and I've never felt this kind of fulfillment in my life. And to me, it just signals that this is my purpose. This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
I agree.
This is my why.
Yeah. And you really are a people person, much more than I am. I think we learned that during COVID when you were going nuts staying at home, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever.
Right.
And I think that being around, your 700, you care so much about your 700 employees that work for the city. You talk about them a lot. Your concern, even before you took office, was a lot about them.
Yeah.
Because you knew that they were nervous, scared. there's a lot of rumors that go around during a campaign. That surprised me.
Yeah, it was impressive.
So I think that they had to kind of figure out who you really were outside of that. And I knew that would be fine.
Yeah.
But I don't know that they...
You know me.
Yeah, but I don't think that, your employees necessarily know how much you think about them and how much you care about them.
Probably not. I don't think anybody knows until you become a leader like that. That's your first responsibility. I got to think about our people. And for a mayor, I have to think about our 700 people as our staff, but also our 90,000 people as our residents that we serve.
Right.
So you actually make me think of something that you said, what's the first year been like? The one thing that we really can't present with information or a picture or data or a slide in a presentation, it's been the cultural work that we've done. Changing an organization's culture is a long-term endeavor. Cultures are set over time, right? And the longer they're set, the harder they are to change, but also the longer it takes and the more deliberate and the more gradual and consistent that you work on culture, the more durable it becomes after me and after us.
Right.
And so we've been really deliberate in the way that we've set our tone and our culture here around values of service and collaboration. And that's not just for service and collaboration to the people that we're here to serve. It's for each other too, because we rely on each other here. The different departments need one another. And when they ask for help, they need the same mindset from each other around, Kate, I need to help facilitate success for you right now, because if I facilitate your success, you're going to facilitate success for 90,000, right?
Right.
And the people of our city need that leadership from me and are expecting it. That's why they voted for me, or even if they didn't, they still expect it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm really proud of the cultural work that we've started here. There's more to go, but the energy that you feel from me when I get home is the energy I feel when I'm here. It's the energy that I have to bring here. I notice that if I have a bad day, the building knows, and it reverberates out because everybody feels it from me. So I have to make sure that I go to the gym every morning, that I get enough rest, that I eat healthy, so that I show up in the right place. That's just something that people don't realize is important, but that's so fundamentally important, that I am in a good place, right? Personally.
And sometimes the changing of a culture, it's not a speedboat, right? You can't just turn it like that, especially with 700 employees. It's more like what do you call those? Like a
cruise ship or
a cruise
aircraft carrier or
something. And it takes a minute. And you and I have had that conversation before. And you were frustrated with how slow the culture change was happening. I think you were like 5 or 6 months in. And I was like, honey.
I know, you had to remind me of what I've been talking about.
Right? You got to give them at least a year.
Well, sure.
To get what, pick up what you're putting down. But, I think that as we talk about what your goals are for the city and within, within the 700 employees, you've come up with a tagline of a city of service and a community of opportunity, and that is a big part of the culture change.
Right.
So can you explain a little bit about what that means to you?
Yeah. So I say a tagline because, we're not changing our entire brand, but that's a way to really sum up the Ogden Way framework to begin with. Because one of the challenges of being a mayor, and it's also an amazing blessing, is that you get to lead 700 employees and then you lead on behalf of and represent 90,000 residents. And so we have to have a way of making sure that we've got a mission, that we are mission driven in the work that we do here internally, right? But that we're driving in a mission that is going to deliver for 90,000 people that we're here to serve, right? And so the two things need to work together, and they just need to come together. And so we're a city of 700 people, and as Ogden City Corporation, a multi-billion-dollar organization of assets and responsibilities, that is a city of service. And so that's the mentality and the values that we're going to wrap ourselves around as an organization in service to 90,000 people. And what we're doing when we serve is that we're creating an environment and creating a community that creates opportunities for people, right? And so we're a city of service and a community of opportunity, and that encapsulates both the mission of our organization and the vision of our entire community into one tagline. Yeah. So when you hear that, that's what it means. But oftentimes we communicate with a lot of different audiences. And so sometimes you only have time to say that We're a city of service and a community of opportunity. But our staff need to know that we have a mission that they are driven on and focused on. And they need to know why we landed on that mission, right?
Yeah. And I've always felt like there's a certain spirit in Ogden of its people. And I think that you've tapped into that really well and are bringing that into, as you call this corporation, of a city of 700. Because I think there's always kind of been that disconnect a little bit. And so it's nice that you've brought that in and starting to make that cultural shift. So your mission, as I'm going to read it here, because I don't have it memorized, is fueled by a champion's drive and an unwavering commitment to service. We innovate and collaborate to overcome challenges, foster opportunities, and create an environment for our people, businesses, and partners to earn success. And so I guess that you've already talked about that a little bit, but I love that you put in a champion's drive.
Wow. You would love that.
I would love that. So everybody else who doesn't know how insane we both are competitively, talk to them a little bit about why you put that word in there specifically.
I think there's actually more people that know that than you probably realize. It's a little bit of your brand, not mine. Like everybody knows I'm really level-headed and not hyper-competitive.
Sure.
There's a picture of us coaching where we were.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear that we're both really competitive.
For third graders, yes.
I know, but we won. I won that day. Anyway.
Yeah.
You mentioned like Ogden has always had this special thing. Like I've absolutely felt it in our staff here. They're here for a reason. They could be at any city. If they want to work in city administration, they can choose any city, but they choose to be here. And a lot of people, they could choose to be in completely other industries and they choose public service because they want to work for Ogden, right? And so that's a big deal. That's a lot of energy and drive and passion to build on. And so it has not been a hard sell to our staff here.
That's awesome.
They've been really hungry for it. Like they've received it so well. And frankly, I've received what they've shared with me well. And this mission really reflects what they've shared with me. And so when we talk about Ogden, we're different, right? We have a chip on our shoulder. We have a grit to us, right? We are very much roll up our sleeves, blue collar, pick and shovel people that do the work of building community. And we love it. We get to take part in it.
Yeah.
Right?
It's really easy to get involved in Ogden.
It's really easy.
You want to get involved, get a shovel, right?
If you're willing to work.
Yeah. And I think that's what things stands out is Ogden is very authentic.
Right.
In everything we do.
I want to make the point though that when I reflect this to my team and internally to the city and staff, some of the feedback I get back is it needs to be Ogden. It needs to be edgy, gritty.
Yeah.
And they also said that it needs to reflect you as mayor. And what they told me is they said, we see a champion's drive. We see someone who's competitive by nature, who has a drive to win and to want and the will to want to win, right? And so that's how you and I frame things in our lives and how we were raised. But it doesn't mean that everybody has to be competitive to the point that we are trying to make sure that others around us lose. We change our mindset as we grow up to have this drive and will to win into becoming a drive and a will to be great.
Yes.
Right? And so I don't want us to be a city and I don't want us to be a staff that is focused on making sure others lose so that we can win.
Right.
That's the opposite of what I want. But I do want all of us, to have a growth mindset, to have a drive to be better every day, not just as a city or employees, but as people.
Yeah.
And that when they come here to work, this is a place with an environment that they can find success and grow.
Right.
And so I do like to talk about the champions mindset because I do want to be a city of champions, right?
And you want to meet with those champions that build Ogden and make Ogden great. And,
right.
Yeah. And I love the growth mindset because that's something our children are learning in school right now, and they'll call me out if I don't have a growth mindset at home.
Right. And it's
very awkward.
And you and I have completely different perspectives when the kids ask us for our advice. I'm like, I'm all about mental toughness.
Yeah.
And you're like, babe.
I just approach the mental toughness differently.
Right. So that part,
I'm a girl.
Yeah, but the point being that part reflects my intensity, the intensity that our staff feel for me. But it's not just an intensity. I hope they feel it as a warmth. It's an energy, and it's a drive, and I hope it lifts them. Right?
Yeah, and as we talk about the mission, let's also talk about the vision that we have for the city is a safe, vibrant, and thriving community where you and I connect, grow, and succeed. Talk a little bit about that. I know that safety is always a big issue in our city. And, obviously our vibrancy is a big part of who we are, but talk a little bit about, what that means to you.
So when we talk about safety, I view that as a fundamental first order of business for our city, that we can't really succeed as a community without having a safe place to live.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of people think about police and fire when you think about safety, and absolutely they are huge drivers around that. But we all contribute to the safety of a city, right? Even across all of our departments, we all contribute to the safety of our city too.
Right.
And so I put safety in there because it's first because it's a first order of business. It's a high priority, and we can't ever lose focus of making sure that our public safety and that all of our departments are focused on the safety of our public first and foremost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do notice that you did put that on your 7 pillars of success, and which we're gonna talk about right now. Safety was number 1, and talking about a safe environment for our citizens and also the visitors that come.
Yep.
And so I appreciate that. The second pillar that you've talked about in here is lifelong learning. Can you talk a little bit about what that means for the city?
First, before we get to the pillars.
Oh, okay.
I mean, even getting back to the mission,
Mm-hmm.
we're a city of service,
Mm-hmm.
right? But we collaborate, we innovate, right? We drive toward being a city as employees that facilitates success for others, right?
Mm-hmm.
And who are those others? It's our people. Our people are our partners. There are businesses and our nonprofits and our anchor institutions, right?
Right.
That we work with. So our mindset has got to be being the facilitator of success.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I think Ogden for a long time has, and I'm talking 50 years, has had a reputation for not necessarily being great at facilitating, small businesses or whatever it is. That's always kind of been its big critique.
For some, right?
Yeah.
And when I talk to all the other mayors now that I'm in touch with all of them, they all share. They're like, oh no, we're the city that has that struggle. And what we realize is that we all hear that feedback,
Mm-hmm.
and none of us are the city that's the hard one to work with.
Mm.
It's just that there are examples within our organizations of challenges to overcome, right? And so I actually hear a lot from other mayors and from other people who have great experiences with our people. It's
Right.
just a small, like a 5%.
Yeah.
That we wrap ourselves around that axle, and and if we focus too much on that, we do become this mindset that we're hard to work with. But we actually have a lot of success to build on.
Yeah.
And so we're focused on that 5% to make sure that there is not a perception that we're difficult,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the perception alone,
Reality.
real or not,
Yeah.
becomes a reality for people outside of our building here, and we need to make sure we break down that perception. So we're very highly focused on being service oriented on that 5% so that everybody 100% gets a good experience with us.
Yeah.
But we know we're never going to be perfect, but it's important that we have a framework like this that has the values built into the service mission so that we know what to go back to at the end of the day.
Yeah. And within that service mission is also making sure that Ogden is at every table.
That's correct.
Ogden City.
That's right.
That's on my mind because I saw your last comments at your last city council meeting. So I think that was really important, that sometimes, the change it's slow to change, but we are getting at the tables where we have longed needed to be.
Right.
And we're being recognized
absolutely
for it.
And we've been driving to that point for a long, long time, but we're changing that narrative from being left out of the table to not just being at the table, but now we are setting the table. That's the difference that we're marching toward.
Mm-hmm. So obviously with the vision, the safe, vibrant, and thriving community, I feel like you've kind of explained how we're going to get there, right, to that thriving community. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so like we talked about safety. Vibrant, that means different things for different people.
Yeah.
It's also kind of a feeling. It's a sense of what you experience when you're here, right? But thriving is like a driving. It's this sense of like we are always working on being better, and that today was better than yesterday. I'm better. I'm stronger than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
And this is what, when we talk about in the campaign, that you build a community by building and investing in people, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
When I said I want to be a leader and a mayor that focuses on people and serving people, this is how we do it, is you identify the values and you build everything around helping to facilitate success for people, others, right?
A champion's
each other
mindset.
With a champion's mindset. So you bring that winning mentality, that drive to be a champion, and to be a city of champions means investing in our people, right?
Right.
And so when we talk about growing, we talked about having a growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
That's not just for our staff. It needs to be in all of us in our city. Connecting. There are opportunities in this city all over the place, and we often lose the ability to connect people with those opportunities, right? We do that by connecting with each other. It's got to be an organic thing. The government can't just connect, be the sole connector. It's a responsibility of all of us, right? So that's what we're talking about when we get to these different words. There's meaning in them. There's meat and meaning in each of these words that we all need to wrap our minds and our hearts around in order to execute it. Right?
Well, I think the word that stands out to me the most, and I don't actually think it's in the vision itself, but it's in the tagline, is the opportunity.
Right.
And I think back to when, I did an audit on the Ogden School District athletics because they've struggled historically, struggled historically.
And we still have some things we're working on,
right,
for sure.
And it was, our argument was, you need to give these kids an opportunity to be successful. Right. And while you're providing playing instances, you haven't really given them the opportunity because you haven't provided access to certain things that these kids need, access to great coaches, access to playing in competitive leagues. Facilities, right? And so I kind of think of it that way, the opportunity.
Right.
Like the government can't say, okay, now you're going to do this and this and this. It's like we have provided this opportunity.
So what you just explained is we have to create an environment for kids to succeed. In that case, around sports and athletics as a component of the overall education experience on campus in high schools, right?
Correct.
But what you learned wasn't just on the district. This is on all of us. And that you learned there was not a pipeline beforehand. That as a community, we weren't providing the access to the opportunities early enough at a high enough level.
And it was hurting.
To prepare them to succeed when you get to high school, because we're competing against all these schools that have access to everything they ever want. Parents are just cutting a check, taking their kids to the highest quality opportunity. Kids get coached and trained and taught and everything, and then they just feed into the high school and it's no big deal. Well, that's not what we do. That's not what we had. So we had to create that. Again, getting back to the ethos of grit and blue collar and doing the pick and shovel work to build a community. It's hard, but it's fulfilling, right? But when you talk about a mission and a vision that work together, what we really need to make sure people recognize is that it's not city staff against residents or residents against city staff. It's all of us together in one team. We are one Ogden working toward one goal, which is to help our people thrive. Right?
Which is the Ogden Way.
Yeah. And we've got to get in a mindset of doing things in that way so that we can spend the energy that we do have, putting it toward the most possible impact to facilitate impact, right? And you facilitate the most impact by working collaboratively, working with an abundance mindset and a service orientation to take the grit and the blue collar mentality and put it to work with the pick and shovel work that Ogden is known for. Being proud of the chip that we have on our shoulder instead of being angry about it and taking our chips and going home. You know what I mean? We own it. We're proud of it. It's who we are. And people are taking notice already. They have been for a long time. Like, there's something special going on. What is it, right? Well, the Ogden Way, that's what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't just explain the Ogden Way in one tagline or one mission or one vision.
Right.
What does it mean? And that's where it gets to the fundamentals of it.
Well, I remember when we had they did the new logo or whatever it was. You had that group come in and
rebranding.
Yes, thank you. And they came up with the Untamed. And I know there was a lot of people that didn't like. I love that. I love that because I feel like that encompasses kind of the attitude of Ogden people, that they are hardworking, gritty, and authentic to who they are.
We're very authentic people here.
Yeah.
We just had a delegation from the Marshall Islands came to our office, and the thing that they said was, we feel a warmth here. They felt it immediately when
in January.
Came. I know, that's actually what he said. He goes, it's really bitter cold out there, but it has been so warm here with you. And that's the Ogden Way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Ogden Way is built on some fundamental principles, right? We talked about the culture and the ethos and the spirit that drives us.
Mm-hmm.
That's all part of the Ogden Way. But there's fundamental principles around creating a community of opportunity. And that's what I call the pillars of human success.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really where the heart of the mission and the meat and the bones comes into play.
Yeah. And that's what, as you go on this next year, you'll be focusing on bringing people together and who's going to fit in each of these pillars. So we've talked about safety and the importance of that for a successful and thriving community. And I've got to know some of the police officers and first responders, I guess I should say. And they're just, I'm fascinated by them because they just do it because they love people and they love the city.
They're incredible.
They are. They are
incredible.
And I'm not just saying that because Cindy's here watching, because they truly are.
I know. No, and everybody here knows that too.
Yeah.
They've got tons of support in the community.
Mm-hmm.
No, again, none of us are perfect, but I will tell you that they are great.
Mm-hmm.
They are the best that there is. They're
Yeah.
the best in the state of Utah for sure.
Yeah.
If not better
No
than
doubt.
that. I mean, they are the Ogden Fire and Ogden Police are the two best public safety agencies in Utah,
No
hands
doubt.
down. No offense to my other mayors, but I'm totally taking it.
I'll offend
They're
them.
the best.
I'll offend them for sure.
Thank you.
I'll do it.
There you go.
That's my job as the governor of the house. So let's talk a little bit about lifelong learning, and we talk about the workforce in Ogden. Talk a little bit about that and what are we trying to do to diversify or whatever that is with your pillar.
Okay, so again, we're trying to build an environment that creates opportunity, right? That connects people with opportunity. But what are the fundamental pillars is like, if you are somebody that wants to succeed and not just survive, some people are still at that point.
You're right.
And so we need to be talking about these pillars based on where people are.
Where they are, yes.
We can't assume or expect people to be where you and I are at. We're very lucky to be where we are, but not everybody's at that point. And so they need to be able to, these fundamental pillars, they're almost like a Maslow's hierarchy in a way,
Yes.
right?
I thought of that when I read this. And I was
I'm
like,
sure,
this is
I know.
hierarchy.
A little bit,
And it
right?
makes sense, yeah.
So safety, like everybody deserves to have safety. Everybody deserves to be protected and have fundamental rights that are protected by our police and fire, and that fire responds when they're in their time of need, right? But like lifelong learning, education, it's not just kids going to school, but our kids have to thrive when they go to class. They have to have early childhood education, access to daycare so that they have nurturing environments. They have to make it through elementary school with all of the fundamentals that they need to apply to a new level of rigor when they get to middle school. And that when they get to the high school, they've got all the study habits and the basics and the fundamentals, right? But it's not just K through 12. What about our partners at Weber State, right? How do we start to set a tone for our kids wanting to go to college if that's what they want? But again, that's not for everybody. So our technical college partners, that provides opportunities for kids too. And so we've got partners at the school district, at the tech college, at the university, right? And here at the city and then the county that are focused on making sure that we provide for education as a key pillar of human success. But it's also lifelong learning because there's workforce development. And some people want to tap into lifelong learning at Weber State just to learn and to grow and to thrive, right? So no matter where you are in your life, I want to make sure that these pillars meet you where you are and that they have the ability to deliver for you based on your circumstances.
Right.
So that when you invest in yourself, you have an access to the opportunities you need to thrive and to lift and to grow. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in terms of the workforce training, I mean, are we, I guess we'll probably talk a little bit more about, in the future,
Each of these pillars
mean to like bringing in, businesses to Ogden. The next piece of your next pillar is stable neighborhoods.
Right.
And I know that, we live in a nice neighborhood, but, it wasn't that long ago that we could throw a rock and hit a drug dealer across the street from us. And I know that happens in neighborhoods all over the city. So the stable neighborhoods, meeting everybody where they are, how do we accomplish that?
Okay, again, if you're looking to succeed in life, you need to have a safe, stable, preferably vibrant place to live, right? And so again, there are people in our community that don't have a place to live. And we're working on a lot of those things. Ogden always punches above our weight to provide for that. And we can list a million ways that we're doing that. But there's a whole spectrum of affordability and opportunity and for people to meet where they're at, right? And a stable neighborhood means different things to different people too, depending on where they're at.
Right.
And so we need to be focused on providing neighborhoods that have that meet that spectrum of housing type and housing affordability across our city, not concentrating any one type in any one area, but making sure that we're a community where we live with amongst one another, right? And so that's the vision that I have, is to have neighborhoods of all types of people, that come from all backgrounds and all faiths and all nations and incomes and social, political circumstances, right? Living amongst one another, because that's the environment, and the studies show time and time again, to give people the best opportunity to succeed at every level.
Yeah.
Because it creates that synergy and also access to each other and economic opportunity.
And vibrancy.
For people to lift and to thrive.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about neighborhoods, that's what we're talking about. We're also talking about having infrastructure that connects them with each other.
Sidewalks,
et cetera, right? And so then you get, how do we connect with open spaces? How do we connect with the schools in the neighborhood? How do we connect with our places of worship? Those are the elements of a safe and stable and vibrant neighborhood, right? But now you're starting to see different themes from different pillars start to play into each other. So no one pillar is the responsibility of any one organization or person.
Yeah.
It requires collaboration across pillars. Again, that's the Ogden Way. We set the values, we set the mission, we set the vision, then we focus on the pillars. And because when those other things are done and ready to go, like there are, we can focus on the pillars and do that collaboratively across all those different disciplines, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Which leads us into a vibrant economy, which is a vibrant economy is going to help our neighborhoods and our lifelong learning.
Right.
So talk a little bit about that as well.
Well, that's one of the key pieces of finding success in life, is finding an opportunity to participate in an economy, having access to opportunities to make more and to achieve more and be more, right? And again, getting back to the growth mindset, you're never done. You might enter an economy participating in your first job at minimum wage, like we did, right? Or you might make even less than that in a service industry and then rely on tips. But you build your way up, and we want to make sure that we have access to economic opportunities at each of those levels to meet people where they're at, and that no matter where they are, they can plug into that opportunity and then level up, upskill through the education pillar and professional workforce development and training, and become bigger and better and earn more and become more and contribute more as you grow, right? So economic opportunity is critical to life success.
Yeah. And bring them here to live here, right?
Right. Or building up the people we have and helping them upskill and level up in life.
Definitely.
Right? It's expensive to live right now.
Anywhere.
Right. Yeah. But I don't care what mayor you are. You can't control the macroeconomics that are driving inflation, driving the cost of buying a house. It's off the charts. Transportation costs, energy costs, taxes. Let's look at the things that we can control among those: taxes, energy, etc., right? Cost of labor. We can work on those things, but the biggest impact it's going to make for people and for families is to raise their household income.
Correct.
You do that by providing access to economic opportunities at every level, right?
Absolutely. And we've talked a little bit about the strong infrastructure pillar as it kind of weaves its way through all of these other pillars. And do you want to talk any more about that in terms of?
I do, because that's a perfect example of a pillar in a team within our public works department that needs to touch every single pillar. They need to be collaborators across the board. Public safety. What about lighting in our city? Pacificor has not provided good lighting here, and it's holding us back.
Yeah.
And they need my help unburdening them of that Pacificor thing to start to provide better lighting in our city so they can feel safer. Our police department needs that from our public works department, right?
Right.
Again, you see how these pillars work together?
Oh, yeah.
If we aren't a city that's aligned on our directives across all of these, we're not going to create an opportunity zone, a community of opportunity.
Right.
we all have to be marching in the same direction. That's what these pillars do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You also talk about healthy lifestyles and access to wellness, recreation, open space, wild places. I mean, I'm super excited for the Marshall White Center to...
Yep. First week of May.
So excited for that.
I am too.
Yeah. And having that as an opportunity for, not just the people that live in that area, but I am super excited to go down and start to use that facility as well.
So we talked early on that I go to the gym every morning to get myself right so that I bring the right energy to the building. That to me is a fundamental component of not survival for me. That's for thriving. I need to be thriving as the mayor so that those around me and those that I serve can thrive. But there's not everybody's at that point where they're ready to thrive. Some people are still focused on surviving. So basic access to healthcare or emergency response from our fire and our police department in their time of need. Again, these meet people where they're at, right? But you and I are have grown past that point. Thankfully, we're lucky to have. And so we need to be focused on our active and healthy lifestyle like we do. And we need to be going out and experiencing open space, using our parks, right? We as a city need to make sure that we provide and invest in the amenities of our parks. We need to make sure that we're providing access to trails that people can go and recreate and have an active and healthy lifestyle.
Right.
We need a trail that goes up that canyon. We need trails on our foothills. We need those experiences to keep ourselves healthy and active and vibrant.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it does something to your body.
Yeah.
It changes you from the inside out. And it also puts us in connection with one another as we use those amenities and parks, and it builds bonds amongst people and right?
Which goes to your meaningful connections pillar.
Which is the next pillar of having meaningful social connections with each other. Now we're really talking about not surviving, we're talking about thriving. We're not just talking about building a city. Now we're really talking about building a community, right? So these pillars come together, they provide for the basics of life. They meet people where they're at every level, no matter where they are in their life circumstances. And it gives them the upward trajectory, the ability to find upward mobility in their lives. If they are willing to do the work to earn it. It's hard work in life. But being Ogden, the Ogden way is to make sure that we're investing ourselves while investing in those around us. We lift others as we lift ourselves.
Right.
As we rise, we all rise, right? That's the difference between building a city and building a community. I don't want my vision and the framework that I've developed to just go out there and build a bunch of hard structures.
Right.
That's all part of building a community. You got to have safe and stable infrastructure, buildings for people to use and to energize. I want to build a community because that's what we do.
Yeah.
That's the Ogden way.
Absolutely. Right. I think you've outlined that really, really well with the pillars and vision and mission.
I appreciate it. That might be the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Well, I'm done for the day.
We're done for the day.
Well, I'm really excited at how this is going, and every time I come, I don't come here very often, but when I do come here, I feel an energy in the building. Good. And I'm always excited to come up and to the 9th floor and see what you're up to.
I think our people actually feel your energy too. They feel your sarcasm, your funniness, your.
They definitely feel my sarcasm.
Of course, like
I've kept
you
it
have an
hidden for
energy
this.
too, right?
Yeah.
And you're happy. You're happy to be here. I think people are happy to be here.
Right.
I want to make sure that we create that kind of environment for everybody. And I can't wait to keep doing this with you, to keep talking about the Ogden Way.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming today and introducing the Ogden Way and the framework to people. For the listeners and the viewers, there's more information online. Go to the website that you see on the screen. Find out more about what the Ogden Way is and how you can plug in. Share it on your socials. Talk about the Ogden Way. Hashtag the Ogden Way. Get online and order some clothes that say the Ogden Way. Represent the brand. You're not representing me. You're representing us.
Yeah.
When we talk about the Ogden Way, you're not talking about Ben. You're not talking about the city. We're talking about Ogden. We're talking about everything about who we are.
Teach your kids it too, because that's the exciting part is they'll just take it and run with it.
Right?
Yeah.
And not just your kids. Find someone you know and that you care about that's looking for a place and a way to level up. Help them plug into the Ogden Way and help elevate them by connecting. Be a connector to opportunities.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
That's the Ogden Way. So for this episode of the Ogden Way, the inaugural episode, the first episode, thanks for joining me, Ben Nadolski, Ogden City Mayor, and joining Jaynee, the governor of the Nadolski house, Jaynee Nadolski, my wife. You'll be seeing more of both of us as episodes continue on. Thank you for being a part of my life, being my wife, being a part of this life.
Putting up with you.
Thank you for putting up with me.
You're welcome.
And helping us raise 2 champions in a city of champions.
Thanks. Same to you.
Okay. Love you.